conference is being recorded.
Hello, this is Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch, and it is July 1st, 2013, and this is a Global Skywatch Radio Monday Night Live program. Tonight we are going to be talking to Kelly Dougherty, and hopefully we're going to also have a special guest here for just a couple minutes who's going to chat with us about what they're doing up in British Columbia as well. We are going to I'm going to read you a few announcements I want to go over real quick, and then we'll get right to Kelly. Tonight I want to keep things moving right along real quick and cover as much material as we can so that we can make this show as impacting, we can make this hour as impacting with information as possible. I do want to let everybody know that we do have this meeting every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 12:30 a.m. London time. Anybody can join us on our live stream if you want to find out what the call-in numbers are, if you'd like to call in and talk to Kelly, or if you would like to just listen on a live stream time, 5:30 p.m. Visit globalskywatch.com/live. That's globalskywatch.com/live. And if you want to know what the call-in numbers are, they are 559-726-1300, and the access code you'll have to dial is 156230. I'm going to open up the phone lines tonight and let you talk to Kelly and let you ask whatever questions you'd like to ask. One more time, the phone number is 559-726-1300. The access code is 156230. There's also phone lines available in most major countries, and that you can call within your country. And if you want to find out what the phone number for your country is, go to globalskywatch.com/live and look in the top section for the link that links to international numbers. Just click on the international numbers link and you'll be able to find out a number that you can call in your country. I'd like to make a few announcements before we get started. First of all, I want to let you all know that the purpose of this conference is for us to talk, to network, to support, and to help each other, to educate the public, to spread information. And the biggest goal of Global Skywatch is to introduce the public to the largest crime against humanity in human history, which we are experiencing right now. These clouds, these trails you're seeing in the sky, if you're new to this and you're joining us, these trails you see in the sky, these are not natural condensation trails. This is what the news media is telling us, and the people who have sensitive senses of taste and smell, the people who know the physics behind this, not the people who are now being taught misinformation, but the people who've been in this area for a while. Pilots have called me and told me that they've never seen trails come out of jet engines, but there's a big push to try to convince the public that these trails are natural, harmless condensation trails. And we're trying to wake up the public that this is not true. And I, as someone who can smell and taste these trails, and when they descend, and depending on the altitude, they take anywhere from half an hour to 2 hours to descend. If they're flying at higher altitudes, it obviously takes longer. That they leave a tremendous, horrible metallic taste in the air. Horrible odors, and more people are smelling them. Some of them are salty metallic, some of them are burnt rubber smells, sometimes they're sulfury, sometimes they're acetone type smells. In fact, I've identified 8 individual specific differing smells and tastes that are sprayed. They're often sprayed together, 2 of them. And since I first started experiencing this on a daily basis in 2005, I've taken the time to separate all of the different smells and tastes and write articles about them and about the symptoms that all of them cause. Most of them, for sensitive people like me, cause inflammation, which can lead to joint pain, muscle pain, and fatigue, and many other symptoms come from that shortly after. The purpose of this group, again, is to talk, network, support, help each other, and educate the public. GlobalSkywatch.com is dedicated, is really a volunteer effort to educate the public about this, which we consider the most serious issue in the world today. It is something that can be stopped if we can get enough people to work together to stop this and to teach the public that this is going on and that these metals being sprayed are harmful to your health and they are completely unnatural. There's no biological use. In fact, they can cause very serious health problems. We are also seeing aluminum levels in rainwater. I have rainwater tests here that show 300 parts per billion, which the maximum for drinking water law by the EPA is 50. So we have 6 times over the maximum, and many believe the maximum is high just to begin with. So we need to, if you're new to this issue, this is extremely serious, and we would invite you to visit globalskywatch.com and learn about chemtrails, which is called geoengineering by scientists. The current position that the government has is that they are considering spraying these metals in the air like aluminum, but they haven't started yet. But in fact, we are actually seeing that they have already started, and the fact that they're saying they haven't is just a psychological ploy to convince the public that it's really not happening. It's called disinformation. It's a way that things often work when the government tries to disinform the public about things that are happening. So you can go to globalskywatch.com to learn more about this. You can go to geoengineering.com. Other great websites, of course, are geoengineeringwatch.org. That's geoengineeringwatch.org and aircrap.org. Those are some of the leading websites. There are many. You can go to globalskywatch.com/links to find out, to get links to hundreds of websites across the United States and around the world. And they're all categorized by their general location there. We want to get some projects going. If you do artwork or design work, we would love to have doorknob hangers made, designed, so that people can have them printed up and hang them on doorknobs. I really, really hope that you will get a bumper sticker on your vehicle or on your helmet or on your notebook or wherever you can put these bumper stickers. If you want large quantities, we can get them to you at very low cost. You can contact me, Russ, at globalskywatch.com. We have geoengineering bumper stickers. We have Global Skywatch bumper stickers. We have Chemtrails Kill bumper stickers. Whatever you prefer, please get a bumper sticker. We also have yard signs. We have a brand new, fresh, beautiful box. They're beautiful looking signs. You can stick them in your front yard. They come with posts. If you want to buy more than one, just contact me, and we can figure out what the shipping is and get you a good, get you the best price possible on multiples, because we can, put multiple ones in a box. We can find ways to save money on shipping, which is a big part of the cost, unfortunately. I also want to invite everyone to go visit the Global Events Calendar, where we try to have a central place where all events related to geoengineering are kept. Go to globalskywatch.com and you can click the link for the Global Events Calendar at the very top. I also want to invite you to visit our Facebook group. Go to globalskywatch.com and visit the Facebook link at the top. We also have a news feed. We have 2 news feeds that are available on Global Skywatch. They both have RSS feeds if you like RSS feeds. Just go to the homepage of globalskywatch.com and click on the news feed. We have a geoengineering specific news feed, and we also have a general news feed that covers many other subjects such as GMOs, smart meters, fracking, all kinds of other news there. So if you want just geoengineering, chemtrail related news, you can watch that news feed. If you want other loosely related news, you can watch the general news feed. I suggest you watch both to keep up to date, because mainstream media is not going to cover these subjects for you, and these are very important subjects. I also want to invite you to watch Saturday, or listen in Saturday, at globalskywatch.com/GWR. That stands for Geoengineering Watch Radio. globalskywatch.com/GWR every Saturday afternoon at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Dane Wigington, Richard Sachs, and myself host a program where we cover the latest news, the weekly news on geoengineering, what's going on, how's it affecting weather. We sometimes have guests on, but we get into the technical aspects of what's happening with Dane Wigington, Richard, and myself. So please join us. For more information, globalskywatch.com/GWR. globalskywatch.com/GWR. All right, what I'm going to do is check the phone lines right now and see if Alex is on. Let me check and see if Alex is on. He's going to make an opening announcement for us to talk about his project. So let me take a quick look here and see if I can find him. Actually, he's not on with us apparently. If you are, Alex, on, if you could just message me on Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and monitor Facebook and see if I get a message from you. If you do want to call in, go ahead and feel free to call in, and I'll insert you here in the middle so you can make an announcement. Let me just take one last look and see. All right. I want to introduce you to Kelly Dougherty, who is the founder and the coordinator for the San Francisco protests. They've been doing a wonderful job out there. I believe it's the last Wednesday of every month out there at San Francisco City Hall. This last protest they had, I believe, was very successful. I heard it was a very interesting time. So let me get Kelly in here with us. Kelly, you there?
Yes, I am, Russ. Hello.
Well, welcome back. I love having you on here, and I'm so glad you were able to make it tonight. How's everything going?
Well, it's going fine. You know, as far as coming together with the community, and but as far as the spraying, they're still spraying us, and today is a very awful day of spraying. So not so obvious. They're not literally taking the planes across the city, but you can see that they're spraying out in the ocean because we have an even layer of whiteout today, unfortunately. So, I mean, other than the spraying that is still continuing, other than that, everything is fine. We're having a really wonderful time meeting new people in our community through our protests. So that's been great fun, to be quite honest.
Well, yeah, I know we've spoken in the past, and I mean, having these protests to the normal person, protests are kind of, I say normal person, but to the person who's never, I know, good one, Russ.
We won't get into the normal.
Well, to the person who's never done it before, the doing a protest is kind of kind of a scary thing, but really you have a lot. You know what? I just saw Alex has just joined us, so let's take a little segue here, if you don't mind, Kelly. Alex had some interesting news he wanted to share, so let me get Alex on here. Alex, can you hear us?
I can.
There you are. Good to have you on. We're live, and I just saw you pop on the call-in console, so I'm glad you made it. And Kelly's on with us from San Francisco, and I wanted to give you the mic for a few minutes and tell us what you've got going on up there in British Columbia.
Thanks, Russ. I've got artist, activist, and actor Stephen Schellen with me, and we're both artists and activists. And what we're doing is we're doing a collaborative art effort on vehicles. We're making a brutal truth vehicle, which is like a chemtrail, New World Order awareness vehicle, which puts out information, DVDs, T-shirts, literature, bumper stickers, T-shirts, whatever, anything promotional that puts out only the brutal truth about what aerosol electromagnetic technotronic warfare really is and what it means to us all as human beings and to Mother Earth for creating ecosystems. So we're trying to promote awareness to this and use vehicles, as we've been so electronically censored, sabotaged, and attacked that there's little point in us using electronic media anymore as a form of activism. So we're trying to go forward and inspire other people to make vehicles like this and participate. And we'll be handing out approved and agreed upon literature which defines exactly what this is and what it's meant to be, which is genocide. So we're just going to cut to the chase. We don't mince words. We're the Brutal Truth Movement. What we intend to do is tell people exactly what it is in succinct English, and we want other people to take this literature and any DVDs and accompanying materials and your bumper stickers and T-shirts and whatever promotional stuff you have, and possibly even links to your site and your Facebook page and our YouTube channel, and maybe even our Facebook pages, not that they work anymore, and go out and get other people to produce vehicles like this and go around and distribute literature like this as well. So we're making a video on how to make your own chemtrail awareness vehicles and New World Order genocide awareness vehicles. And ours is covered in everything that we know they're using to kill us all off. So we've researched this for a very long time. We have extensive time in as activists and have done a lot of research on it. And we're 100% sure what's going on, and it's that bad, unfortunately. And so we're just going to go and try and put out the brutal truth, and we're looking for support from other people that are chemtrail activists or people online or on your Facebook group, Chemtrails Global Skywatch, or any of the others. And we're hoping that people will participate. Those of the audience that can't go out and do anything themselves for whatever reason, they can sort of feel involved by contributing to people like us. We're a nonprofit. We're not out to make money. We spend everything we have on activism. We do it 24/7, 365. Even when we're sleeping, we're not really sleeping. We're being targeted. So we're trying.
Our van's ready to go. We're leaving in the van in less than a week. So anybody that's listening, if you want to get involved, you should. And if you can't, we're going anyway. And the van's setting its sails in hopefully less than 3 or 4 days, and we're taking it 3,000 miles from Vancouver to Montreal, and then hopefully on to New Brunswick and Waterbuck's farm, and we're going to be hooking up with people. We encourage anyone to even do like 100 miles or 100 kilometers with us. Join the group. Even if you paint your car, and hopefully, like, let's say, between two small cities, if you can make the trip, great. We'll pass out the literature. We'll give it to you to give to people. We're just going to keep moving. With or without help, we're going for it. We're not stopping. This is it. And the time's run out. I've been looking at this for the longest amount of time and really studied it and can handle the truth. The brutal truth, have recognized that we're running out of time, and that they have actually found a way to select who live and die with technotronic warfare. So using frequency and laser beams and irradiating us, and just that how the elites aren't targeting themselves, how they're able to spray themselves, is because they're, number one, not being targeted through this grid, and number two, they have the best military medicine, so they get the best of healthcare. So it's basically they're using with health, science, technology, and medicine as their advantage. And plus, they eat good food, whereas we're eating GMO and weaponized food. So this is how it's all going down. We're trying to get these vehicles promoted so that other people know how to do it, so they'll be able to look at it on our YouTube channel. And we're doing a video right now.
Yeah.
The video will be up tonight.
Yeah, and we're videotaping the creation of all kinds of vehicles here in the creation station. And we want to get to other people to be able to make their own vehicles and go and distribute the brutal truth as well. And we'll end up having a seal that we all approve on the literature. And once we approve on what's in the videos and the literature, and it's not something that's open for debate, then because the panel that might include Russ and a few other people we all know. Once it's not open for debate and it's approved on, what we'll do is we'll just put our seal on it, and then other people can distribute it, and we'll be looking to see if there's any copycats or infiltration, etc., the usual tried and true mechanisms to keep us all apart and divided and conquered. And we study that in depth, so we know what we're talking about when we say we know how to expose people that are actually out there doing that.
Well, this is awesome. So now,
that's about it.
Yeah, this is great. I so much appreciate you guys calling in. The sound got a little bit, the phone lines got a little funny there in the middle, but we heard most of what you said. The audio is great now. Fortunately, it was great in the beginning. We just had a couple minutes of funny audio, but it's all right now. So what do you want people to do? I know we're gonna, I'm gonna do what I can. You're gonna be over here on this side of Canada too. I mean, I'm about an hour and a half from the Canadian border, from New Brunswick.
In Montreal.
What's that?
Yeah.
We'll be in Montreal. That's my hometown, or that's where I've been living lately.
Awesome. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, we're going. Truther Girls. I'm also Hobo Steve on the Truther Girls. And I've just sent the link to Sonia from the Truther Girls. She's all over, obviously, vaccines and chemtrails, as is her husband. So we'll be hooking up with her in Montreal.
That's great. And you said who is her husband?
Barbarian Rebellion, Aaron.
Okay, yeah, I've seen the Truth Girl. I've watched her for years. I mean, she's been around covering a lot of stuff for a while, so she's got a lot of great information. She helps to get out. She's what?
Our close friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Close friend.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I know.
Hey guys, let me see if your audio is still coming through. Okay, just tell me what can the public do in the meantime to support you, to help out, or where are we going to notify them when a page is ready? Or I mean, I know we chatted about this a little bit earlier, but just I want to give you the floor and just tell people what you want them to do right now.
I would love, Alex and I would love to encourage people. We raised $160 today, and this is just with Spybook. All we want to do is if someone can donate $5, $10, anything. 260. Yeah, we got 260. Oh, we got 260 now. Sorry about that, Alex. We've raised 260 in a day. And if anyone can contribute, that would be absolutely great. If they can, we certainly understand. We'll have to set up the logistics on how we can, arrange to get money sent to us. What also I would love is that my wife and I are going to be driving out with our little dog and our son. So if anyone wants to join us and they can't contribute, we may have extra paint by then. We'll be able to donate paint to people en route, and they can. I just love the idea of creating this, art, and also this circus of telling the truth. There's all this very serious. It's true. Gen 21. It's all true. We're being genocided, but let's have some fun while we're getting the truth out. I mean, if nothing else, let's just go for it. Get out from behind our computers for a couple hours. Get in a car, paint it, and drive. Yeah, it's time to leave it all on the track. We're out of time. So what we want to do is we want to sort of wake up everybody, and that includes military, law enforcement, make sure they're all aware of what they're involved in. Hopefully we can get them to declare their position. Either they're going to stand with us, humanity, or with the world's leading criminal and terrorist organization who has ruled over us for thousands of years, using our own people as soldiers and law enforcement against us to enforce laws that are illegitimate, that have been cooked up and pimped out through the political media puppets and their quote-unquote justice system.
Right.
So we're going for it. So, if you want, we can use my PayPal for a while, and I'll just declare it as income, I guess, or something like that. I'm on a disability, but I'll take it and I'll just transfer it to Steve, and then I'll have to deal with the ramifications of that. I'll probably be cut off my disability or something, but I'm hoping to start working right now anyway. So I'm going to go for it. So this is me popping off my disability. So what we'll do is we'll use my PayPal account, and we'll give absolute 100% transparency to anybody that donates, and we'll be listing them on our Facebook pages and whatever else. We probably should create a site because Facebook keeps censoring us anyway.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll use that. We'll try our Facebook pages for now. And we know that certain amounts of our friends see us, and they're the same ones all the time, while everybody else never sees anything we post. And that includes groups and stuff. Like, I'll post stuff and get one like, and usually it's the sort of thing that everybody would go, you'd expect thousands of thumbs up. So
that's kind of it, Russ. I just want to add this. I just got to do something in a second, but I just want to add that, if you're doing a legitimate march, you have to register now in Montreal and everywhere. You've got to register with the cops, and you do a Monsanto march, and it's all good. And, you meet people, but you're all the same ilk. You're all on the same page. Yeah, and you're begging to get in a line and march like around 5 blocks of the city, and you don't reach the other people. The other people in the city, unless they're looking out of their skyscraper window, they don't even get a chance to see it. I want to access people at the parking lot of Zellers, McDonald's, Tim Hortons up here in Canada. Like, let's get to Joe Blow average and say, hey, you like our van, do you? Really? Do you know what this is about? Have you looked up into the sky lately? Because those are the people we need to talk to.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. When we do you want to give your PayPal address right now, or do you want to just tell me later and I'll share it on our Facebook page and our website, or how would you prefer to do that?
It doesn't matter. It's my email address, which is a100hunter, HUNTER, @gmail.com. So you can use that because we need all the help we can get right now. We're running out of, we need clear coat. We also want to get printing and doing DVDs.
Okay, so all this money that people donate is going to go directly into getting this vehicle on the road, painted and ready to go. Let me get your email address again because this is real important. I'm going to put it into the chat room. It's what'd you say? With A100?
Yeah, A100 Hunter. So it's A100 Hunter.
At gmail.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got also, I'm Joker Tattoo on YouTube, so that's JokerTattoo. It's got 3 O's on it. I'm also Captain Chemtrail on YouTube, but they ruined that and turned it into my normal name, and now they've neutered my site, but my YouTube account. So you can't see all the literature that was there and all the information, but the videos are still good and they're all very accurate, and they describe what, aerosol electromagnetic warfare. And I used the Captain Chemtrail character to raise my profile because I was being attacked, so I wanted to stay alive, so I just sort of thought, well, this will keep me alive until they go hot on North American soil, and then I'll be one of the first people, done in or dragged off to a FEMA camp, but whatever. So we have 2 Cadillacs here that have 70,000 miles on them, and one's an 86 and one's a 94, and it's gray, so it's going to be our KC-135 Cadillac, like Captain Chemtrail's KC-135 Cadillac, and it'll have a smoke package in it. I'm in the special effects department. Steven's an actor, and we've dumped Hollywood because we found out we were part of the problem, like a politician or a lawyer or something. We were sort of doing our own compartmentalized role in the mind control matrix, and we've since discovered all of the mind control mechanisms that are perpetrated through Hollywood, and we just dumped it. The Hobo Steve on the Truth of Girls. Yeah, and also Stephen Shellen was an A-board actor. He's been in a lot of productions, I think over 40 productions, and he's a really good actor. So he got blacklisted by the Hollywood system, and I've been against what I was doing as well since I discovered it. So we're very vocal about that sort of thing. We're not in it for ourselves. And so you can look at our YouTube channels, and also on the Facebook, I have 3 groups. One of them's FTNWO, one of them's the Brutal Truth Movement Canada, and one CCWW, World War III Global Domination and Population Reduction Agenda Advisory. So forget trying to get in that one. Yeah, it was a little long. I'll never do that again. So I made the FTNWO, the Brutal Truth Movement. But
okay.
Anyway, those are 3 groups that I started up on Facebook, and I just realized that they're all being censored, and there's almost no point in me even attending them anymore. So I still go on just in the because people keep encouraging me to stay on, and they said they never would have known about this if it wasn't for me. So I go, okay.
That's good. Hey, Alex. Hey, we got to roll here in a second, but I just want to encourage everybody to go ahead and make a PayPal donation to your email account, which we'll repeat right now in just a second. You're going to be opening a lot of people's eyes going across the country with this KC-135 Cadillac. So why don't you let me just repeat. It was A100 Hunter, right?
Yeah.
A100 Hunter. So it's A100hunter at gmail.com. When you donate, use PayPal to donate to that email address, and when you do, every little bit that you give is going to be used to get this project get this project underway, so that they can really open the eyes. Hey guys, final statement. What would you like to ask people to do?
Anyone have ideas? Please let us know. We're open. Best idea wins. So anyone with great ideas, something they want us to say on a band, whatever. We're leaving in 3 or 4 days, but we can always add stuff, and best idea wins. So everyone stay creative and stay with us.
Yeah, and I'm making more vehicles. I've got a couple, I've got 3 vehicles here that are going to go. I also have a Volkswagen T3 that I'm going to put off as well. So I'm just using my vehicles for this. So the cost of the vehicle is usually offset by what we're trying to do to save the world. And I'm going to throw everything I own into it. And so I'm encouraging other people to go out and buy vehicles once they see our training videos. Go out and buy vehicles that are big Cadillacs or boats or vans. The more space, the better. The more real estate, the better. And never mind the gas costs. Try and get donations yourselves. And if you don't, and actually if this works, then we'll start helping them too. It's gonna work. Yeah, it'll work. It's gonna work. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much, Russ, and thanks to your audience.
All right, thank you guys so much, Alex and Steve. Thank you for joining us so much, and we will announce to our groups a place where they can go and donate. Maybe we'll make a PayPal button. You guys will have a website or some place where they can go to. You also mentioned your Facebook groups, but we're going to keep pushing that stuff so you guys can have hopefully all the funding you need to get these things rolling across the country and wake people up. So thank you for your work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Russ.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, we'll talk. Yeah, when you're on the road, I definitely want to hear from you guys. It's going to be a great project. And what I'm going to do right now, everyone, is I'm going to open up the phone lines.
Q&A session started.
Okay, they are open. So if you have a question for Kelly, go ahead and press *6 on your phone, and you can talk to Kelly. And I just want to thank the guys from Canada. They're going to be driving across with their vehicles. This is the Canadian kind of version of what you've seen Max Bliss do in the UK and his crew. Not to leave out any of his crew members, but all of the crew members who've been raising awareness in the UK and now in Canada. They're painting up these vehicles. They're traveling. They're going to have events along the way. To raise awareness about what's going on, because this is what we need to do. I see people all the time saying, what do we need to do? What's our next move? And I believe, there are a few various opinions about what we need to do, but I believe what we have to do right now is wake the public up. Without numbers, we don't have the political clout and the strength that we need to actually make this happen. And this George Barnes, who's actually the Skyder Alert guy, his company, he makes commercials for Fortune 100 companies. You've seen his commercials. He was interviewed on our Monday Night Live a couple weeks ago, and he makes the Skyder Alert program, the app for your phone, so you can send pictures to your representatives. He actually said it very bluntly and very straight. What I've been saying for a long time is you need a lot of people. In fact, George Barnes said that you're going to need millions of people. Before you're going to be able to get this to stop, you're going to need millions of people. So we've got to get people on board. Kelly, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's get chatting here. I want to what I want to tell anybody who wants to call in. Let me just remind everybody about the numbers. It's 559-726-1300, 559-726-1300. Access code is 156230. You can get all that information from globalskywatch.com/live. You can look that all up there. I'd like to start our chat, Kelly, by asking you just a couple questions, and I want to get people. We've already got people lining up to talk to you. What upsets you about this? I mean, why are you emotional about this, or are you emotional about this whole issue?
Well, in the beginning, when I first realized that we were being sprayed, which was about 3 years ago, I was pretty emotional about it. But now I actually try not to be too emotional about it, because what happens when we get too involved, like, oh, this is a spray day, or this isn't a spray day, or, oh, they're killing us, or, what happens is then we can't think things out in a calm manner. And really, because this is such a hardcore problem that we are all facing together, we need to try to center ourselves so we can make the greatest impact in helping our community around us to be aware that we are under a chemical spraying program, and it is having dire consequences on our health, on our earth, on our food and water, our breathing. So I try not to get too emotional, but in the beginning I was, and then I tried to calm myself down. And now really what bothers me most about it is the fact that the public, there's been no dialogue with the public about this geoengineering, which they state in the news talking about geoengineering, not saying that it is happening, but stating that it needs to happen when they know they've already been doing it for a decade plus now. So really, what really irks me greatly about this is the fact that they've been spraying us for more than 10 years, pretty hardcore, and they have not told the public that they're being sprayed. In fact, they have done everything to deceive the public through movies, through news, through radio shows, through our politicians, stating that, you're a fool to think that these planes are spraying. How could you think that? These are contrails, when we all know what a contrail is. It's water vapor, and a water vapor is not going to extend out and create a milky white sky. And in fact, if anyone does the research, just a little bit of research into geoengineering and what geoengineering is through the scientists, the Stanford scientists, and the scientists who are proposing this, they will see that what geoengineering is, chemtrails, whatever you want to call it, is what they describe as what we are seeing right now in our sky. Planes spraying this chemical or these metals or whatever it's made up of. We know it's made up of aluminum, barium, and strontium because we have worldwide tests to prove this from our communities. Whatever else is in it, we can only imagine, but we see it happening in our sky, and we see that it is wrecking our weather patterns. We see that it is creating a milky white haze, and if you go back to the geoengineering patents that are being spoken about now on Democracy Now! And all these shows, PBS, on the regular news station, you will see that this matches exactly what they propose to do. What is going on right now matches what they are telling us they need to do. So really, that is what irks me most, is the fact that they are lying so blatantly to us. And the people who are making an effort to bring awareness to the public, like yourself and everyone at your site, we have been, especially in the past, I don't know if it's as bad now because it's so obvious, but in the past, we've been made out to be freaks or conspiracy theorists or, chemtards. I don't know. There's a slew of words to get the public to objectify us. And it's just obviously not flying anymore because the program has furthered along so much that many more people are noticing what is going on.
It sounds to me, too, like people are responding much more positively at your protest events. Is that true?
Yes. In fact, I'm actually encouraged by the way the community responds to us at our protests. They are so open, and really, we've maybe had a couple people in the 4 or 5 protests that we have had that have been, oh, you're fools, and really, it's been so minuscule that it's barely even worth mentioning. But mostly, we find that people already realize, either people already realize what's going on and they just don't understand the full spectrum of the spraying program, or they've noticed that we've been sprayed and they weren't quite sure what it was. They knew it wasn't normal, and they're very grateful that they get information on it. Or else they really haven't noticed, but they're curious because our weather has been so altered and is getting worse as the years go on, that they definitely have an open ear to hear about this. So we get great positive response. On top of that, we have people coming back to us because we protest in the same place. And a few times now, I've had people see me on that last Wednesday and come back to me and say, thank you for that information. I looked into it, and I'm just completely surprised, and they want to engage more conversation about what's going on. And this is a great thing, and this is why protesting and getting out and talking with our communities around us is a really great thing in order to put a stop to this program, because the only way we're going to do that is, as you say, we need more people. We need more awareness.
Absolutely, and this is protest is a great way to do that. Plus, you meet like-minded people. You feel empowered because you're actually out doing something about it, and you get encouraged because you're having a positive response from the public. Is that all? Are those fair statements?
Oh, absolutely, and it's much better than sitting at home and talk. I mean, not that there's no value in getting together online and sharing your photos and speaking with others around the world, because all of those things are necessary in order for us to be aware of what's happening around us. But we need to step it up to another level where we are not only are we encouraged by one another and our awareness to this program worldwide, but we need to take this out of our homes. We need to meet our public. We need to get in touch with our neighbor again. And it really makes your life a bigger world when you get out there and you speak with the people in your city or in your town, and you get to know people around you, and you realize there are no walls. No walls in our race, in our color, in our creed, in our philosophies, when it comes right down to just honest, working, good people, which is what we all are, almost all of us. And when we break down those barriers of talking with our neighbors, it makes our world a bigger place, and it also allows us to communicate with one another. So something like this can never happen again, because really, I believe what is at one of the problems and why this has proceeded, the spraying program has proceeded in such a great way unnoticed, is because society as a whole has had a communication breakdown, and the technology, internet, and smartphones, if you want to call them smart, have been a great enhancer in this communication breakdown.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, breaking down the communication between people is absolutely vital for the powers that be to achieve horrible agendas. And this is why the internet has been so valuable. And this is why Zbigniew Brzezinski actually said that they regretted making the internet, because what it does is it brings people together and it lets people start sharing their experiences, and they start realizing that, wow, you had a bad experience with amalgam fillings? Well, so did I. You had a bad experiences with vaccines? Oh my gosh, my children did as well. You had, and it starts making people realize that they're not alone, they're not isolated cases, and that there's a much bigger picture going on here. And by the way, before I go on, I do want to bring everybody's attention to the live stream. If you're looking at the video on the live stream, I've been rotating through a bunch of pictures that Kelly sent me. These are all of San Francisco, I would imagine, or that area. Is that true?
Yes, I think there's a couple in there that might have snuck in there from other areas.
Oh, those pictures do sneak sometimes. But I want you to know that some of these pictures that you're looking at right now, like the one that's up right now, some people will look up who don't know about this issue and they'll say, oh, that's just a natural cloud. That is not a natural cloud. There's three types of natural clouds, and there's one modifier called nimbus. And this cloud right here is the after effect. I've been watching this for almost 8 years now. I've done more time lapse of chemtrails probably than anyone in the world. And I've seen this kind of cloud form as chemtrails are breaking apart over and over and over again. But anyway, it's great to bring people together, and I agree with you that we've been systematically torn apart. We've been systematically divided. Movies have been made that make people afraid of each other. Um, and when people get together, it makes the powers that be kind of nervous, because people start realizing that they have a lot more power than they really realized. And they start realizing how badly they've been abused by being misinformed about all of these issues. And in my mind, there's nothing larger than this one. I mean, what do you think?
I definitely think this is this is monstrous. I mean, it's a worldwide spraying program. It's disrupting our jet stream. It's creating huge droughts across the United States, which is going to disrupt our food source at some point, to the point, to the ability where we're not going to have the foods that we want if this keeps going on. This is huge. I mean, there's just so many aspects to the spraying program. Like Alex was saying, it can really cause a lot of problems, not only just with our weather, but with our health too. I mean, even let's say they're not. This isn't a pointed genocide program, as far as what they're doing. But spraying aluminum and metallics in the air is going to affect our health and probably be the early death of us. So whether it's an intended genocide or not, it doesn't matter, because spraying aluminum and metallic particulates on us is going to kill us at some point as it builds up in our body.
Yeah, if you put mercury in somebody's coffee cup and you gave it to them, if when you're in the courtroom, we say, "Oh, I didn't intend on hurting them. That wasn't my intention." It's not going to fly. If you put known toxic substances in the atmosphere, and everybody knows how toxic these mercury, these things are, like aluminum and barium. We've also have some evidence of mold and other exotic, strange things that have been found. But nevertheless, these things are all known to be toxic. They have no positive biological function. So whatever the result is what the crime that is being committed. So people can call it what they want, but the bottom line is I had a heart attack in 2011, and my heart attack was caused ultimately by low potassium. And what people, for the new people who haven't heard this before, I say this all the time, but barium lowers the potassium in your body. And if you have enough barium exposure, especially when the particles are small, the smaller the particles, the more surface area they have to bind. When your potassium gets low enough, it can cause heart fibrillations and eventually a heart attack, which is what happened with me. And God only knows how many people have already suffered or died through the various problems: massive inflammation, brain inflammation, aneurysms, strokes, cancer, or other diseases that are as a result of immune suppression, which both barium and aluminum do. How many people have suffered or died as a result of these things already from these programs? So it's whatever you want to call it. I mean, I've got my own names for it too. Whether you think it's caused by genocide or not, or intended to be a genocidal program or not, I personally believe they are depopulating, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that the end result is that they are harming people, and nothing like this should ever happen. And I would love to take a couple callers. Anything you want to say before I take some questions? Callie, you still there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, no, I certainly agree with you. I think, and I'm just putting that out there for people who can't even possibly believe that something like that could go on, that someone would want to intentionally harm us. I have my thoughts about it too, but I'm just putting it out there that no matter what people believe, whether they believe this is some sort of intended depopulation program or not, it doesn't matter, because if they're putting this type of chemicals above us to the point of megatons, and it is falling on us, and we do have hair samples to prove that many people have a loaded amount of aluminum and barium in their systems. That's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. That stuff is poisonous. It's toxic. If you're listening to this, if you're hearing this information the first time, if you're somebody new, thank you for joining us and thank you for listening. Also, this video will be viewed by thousands of people over the next year or two. When you look up in the sky, I just want to tell you my experience real quick, is I've never seen a trail come out of a jet engine ever in my life. I collected pictures. I've lived on military bases. I've flown across the United States every year for a large portion of my life. I've driven across the United States. I've been a sky watcher all my life. I used to go to parachute drop zones because I have much of my family has parachuted. Many of them fly planes. I took flight lessons. I've talked to pilots. Never have they seen. I've had pilots call me and say, "Thank you for raising awareness about this. I've been a pilot for 25 years and I've never seen a trail come out of a jet." Okay, I've had pilots call me and tell me that. And the thing about the short trails too, I want people to be very aware of, is that if you're new, you haven't heard me say this before. Those who have been here with us for a while have heard me say this, is that I've seen the trails go from long to short in two different places at two different times overnight. And they flew on the same schedule. We had the sky covered every single day to the point where it would gray out. And then the next night, all of a sudden, and this was after years of spraying, all of a sudden all the trails were short. And we only had long trails 4 to 6 days a month. So obviously they upgrade their equipment. They're trying to tell everybody in the public that the short trails are contrails. This information is also going around the internet. Remember, pilots have called me, and in all of my sky watching, never have I seen a trail come out of a jet engine. Jet engines do not produce trails. The conditions where you might see one are so rare that most people will never see a trail come out of their jet engine in their entire lives. Yet, children are being taught in school, your elementary school children, to go out and look at the jet trails and their harmless condensation trails. And I have to tell you, this is my testimony, this is my honest, heartfelt truth, that because I can smell and taste them, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. There's never been these tremendous waves of acetone and sulfur and metallic and salty and burnt rubber tastes that come and go all day long, and it coincides with the spraying. So sorry, I don't mean to talk so long, but I do want to take some questions. I also wrote up in the webpage that we were going to talk a little bit about deception. Hopefully, when we get to that, because I want to open people's eyes. This is part of the deception, is that they're trying to cover this up. They're flying at higher altitudes now, but these things are just as deadly. They're still flying on schedules, and they still have the same terrible tastes and odors that they did before. I want to take some callers. Right now, and please, if you don't mind, keep your well, say whatever you want to say. It's Kelly, so she wants to hear what you have to say. So welcome, caller.
Hi, it's Mark.
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Hi, Kelly. Rest meant that as a compliment, Kelly, really.
Well, yeah.
Why do you feel so comfortable?
I'm teasing. Before I ask my question, just a quick comment is, so 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think I got asked to do a lecture. I've never given a lecture on anything in my life, and my first reaction was, oh my gosh, I got to get in front of people and do this. Well, I thought, it's for geoengineering activists and against it, and it made it really easy just knowing that I'm doing something positive. But the point I'm getting at is this. It's not a pat on my back. Trust me, I pulled it off. I showed a scatter alert, that lookup video. I did my first PowerPoint presentation. And I did it, and I pulled it off, and I thought that was the end of it. But, Diane and I went in, my wife and I went in today for a milkshake in a local little restaurant, and people came up to me and said, we are so sorry, we missed your lecture at the library. Do you have any handouts you can bring us? So this lecture, it's a new thing. I mean, I'm looking forward to being asked to do this again, and I'm imagining in San Francisco, if you guys could get a hold of a little AA meeting place or where the Rotary Club meets and have it, it costs nothing, and maybe once a month, give some kind of free talk on geoengineering. I don't know. It's just a thought. You're doing it plenty with the protest.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It works because it just kind of starts. I mean, here I am getting like 2 or 3 weeks later, people asking me to bring them stuff, and I'm like, wow.
I did in the beginning, before I started doing these protests, before I had enough people in my group. Me and my husband went to a neighborhood meeting. It was like Lower Polk Street neighborhood meetup. And I brought my computer there with the photos that you're seeing, some of the photos that you're seeing this evening, and spoke with them and showed them the pictures. And, sometimes I think people just have a hard time digesting that something like this would actually happen. A few people kind of understood it was going on. This is almost 3 years ago. And some were just incredulous. Like, why would they ever do that? For what purpose? And so it was very hard to get across to them. But I have to say that it has changed a lot in 3 years. Public opinion has changed a lot. And it must be our effort to wake up the public, because people are much more receptive than they were 3 years ago. And more people know about it.
Right. Okay, well, here's my question. I'll let somebody else get in here. We're going to be going down to our first protest in Las Vegas in August for this big international affair, and that's so bad it's happening. Here's my question, and that is, how long do you guys stay out there? I mean, how do you know it's winding down? Or, should we be out 2, 3, 4 hours? I'm sure it's all, it varies on the weather and blah, blah, blah. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, usually our protests last on average about 2.5 hours. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer, but really it's how much energy you have. At least I would say at least give it an hour and a half at least, and that way you get to meet people and talk with them, because you do some people you do have to sit and talk with for a little bit, or stand there and talk with them, and it's not just passing out flyers all the time. There is some interaction where it takes 15 minutes to speak with them and let them know what's going on, and a little bit about yourself, and to know that you're just a part of the community coming out and you're trying to raise awareness. So yeah, I would say about 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours tops. And really, you can get a lot of information out and can reach a lot of people in that short amount of time. That's why I'm telling everyone that you don't need to be out there pounding the pavement for 6 or 7 hours like a work day. You just need to be out there for a couple hours, and the impact made within a few hours is huge.
Right on. Okay.
Hey, Mark, let me ask you, do you find yourself wanting to give another talk?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it cool? Because I know you were I think you were a little apprehensive at first, but I mean, now that you've done it, isn't it really empowering, and it makes you just want to get up and do it again?
Yeah, and I can learn from the first experience, I learned something from it, how I could tweak my next presentation. One thing that was kind of neat, there was a couple at the lecture that came up and apologized just as I was starting. They said, "Oh, we've got this wedding we have to get to, and gosh, we're so sorry, we got to be leaving now." And as they were walking out, I flipped on the scatter alert video of George Barnes, called the Look Up video, and they caught the beginning of it. They sat down and they stayed through my whole presentation, and were late for the wedding. So.
Wow.
And then my wife was sitting back with people in the audience, and they were like talking and saying to themselves, "Oh my God, I had no idea. I knew something was going on, but oh my God, this is." And then I started showing them local pictures. My PowerPoint was basically local pictures of what we're being exposed to here and things I see when I'm hiking. And it made an impression. And I can't wait to get asked to do another one. I really can't. So Kelly, I'm gonna let somebody else get on. Thank you 1,000,000 times for being with us tonight, man. It's great.
Thank you, Mark, for everything you do. It's great, too.
Yes, thank you, Mark. That is awesome. And I want to let everybody know, if you go to globalskywatch.com, go to the resources section, and there's actually an outline for a lecture. So if you need to give a lecture or a talk, or you want to make a video, and what you can do with making a video is you can just follow the outline and then go back and insert pictures over your talk and then upload it to YouTube. But there are those kind of resources available that you can use. We try to make them available so to make your life easier, so you can so it's more realistic to get up and do a talk and not have to do as much work. We have our next caller. Welcome, caller. How you doing?
Yeah, good evening all. It's Werner here from New Brunswick.
Werner, hey, it's good to hear from you. How's it going?
Oh, hanging in there. And it's a long battle, but it seems like more people start waking up. And I appreciate that Alex was on there and Sharon there.
Oh yeah, Alex. We've spoken a few times, and he's got a great project going to help wake people up. So we want to get everybody involved in supporting them that we can. I know you've been doing this for years.
Well, I've addressed different issues, and chemtrails I took an interest in them and became aware of them about roughly about 2.5 years ago. And in the meantime, I've taken hundreds of photos. Some of them, they're on my Facebook site. And coincidentally, tonight I can't access my Facebook site.
Oh, okay. Wow, yeah.
I guess lots of coincidences, but anyway. What I wanted to say is we have to get as much information about the subject as possible before we start basically putting the word out to people. And one of the websites that is very helpful too is Arizona Skywatch, where Dr. Palingeri, when they did for 3 years in a row, they did the testing of the air at ground level after heavy chemtrail spraying.
Okay, so that was Arizona Skywatch?
Arizona Skywatch.
Is it .com?
Well, I don't know. Just Google it. I'm a dummy on the internet, so I just Google.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, yeah, because Dr. Perlingeri was on just this last Saturday with Geoengineering Watch Radio with Dane and Richard and myself.
Oh, Dane Wigington.
Yeah, yeah. All three of us had Dr. Perlingeri on as a guest.
Yeah, and as I say, they did their homework. 3 years in a row, they tested what the people were breathing in at ground level after heavy chemical spraying, and it should make anybody start paying attention. And especially the deadbeats in the government who think they still can sweep it underneath the carpet. And we have to establish a record over the years of contact with the government officials in the Department of Environment, in the Department of Health, you know. So if they don't do this, when they don't do anything, you know, after about 3 or 4 years when they want to get re-elected, basically use it against them to make sure that they don't, basically that they lose any kind of a public trust.
Well, and the only way that's going to happen, that so they can't sweep it under the rug, is bringing awareness to those around us, getting them to join us, and speaking up against this, and arming ourselves with the information that we have available and the tests, the tests that we've taken showing that our soils are contaminated, our blood is contaminated, our trees are contaminated, it's killing the bees. And when we have this type of information and we have tests from around the world showing the same thing over and over again, this is what's going to bring the public in mass involved in this situation. And then our politicians won't be able to shut the door on us or this issue.
And as I say, this Arizona Skywatch, with the figures they came up with, they are basically scary figures. You know,
yeah, they're scary all around. I mean, they're scary. I mean, it's the same thing in every country, in every town. People who have been doing these tests and have the water test and the blood and hair sample test, it matches worldwide. So that's how blatant can you get?
And a neighbor just told me tonight that out there, I think in the western United States, you know, big forest fires, and I don't know, several firefighters got killed in a forest fire because of the aluminum dust. The forest fires, they burn now a lot hotter. The aluminum dust that settles on the trees.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. The aluminum really exacerbates forest fires, burns hotter, and so how many firefighters would have been saved if these were normal fires rather than being fed with all the aluminum dust, right?
And about the geoengineering, Dr. or Professor Keith from the University of Calgary, he made a statement basically they want to see, you know, they're experimenting, you know, and they're using us as guinea pigs. They want to see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing. Well, why don't you tell everyone about your videos and stuff, Warner? Do you want to give people where they can go to see some of the work that you've done?
Well, as I say, I didn't want to bring that in, but we are being under attack from all different sides. You know, here at ground level, release and generating of highly toxic gases by modifying the atmospheric air, and it can be seen as a farmer's ordeal. Then in 2007 and 2008, I made two just rough footage videos that documented environmental Watergate. Here, what I've been documenting here in New Brunswick, but what I understand is going on all along here in the northeast, including on your side of the border. Was that basically we are importing now 90% of the food in this region, what we easily can produce sustainable without buying into the Monsanto agenda and without buying into the agenda of the other chemical companies. We can produce healthy food for the people. But since this has been phased out over the last 60, 70 years, now we got the sickest population right here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And it is not about because we are in the exhaust pipe of the North American continent, because the Jet Sea is tens of thousands of feet above our heads.
Yeah.
You know? And the scientists, there are so many deadbeats And once they get an idea what's really going on, then they look at the aspect that they might lose their paycheck if they start speaking out. And it is real easy, what I've been saying now for the last couple of years, when they can identify the chemical composition of a planet that's millions of miles away, and they cannot identify with spectral analysis the composition of those weird clouds that are being released by those jet planes above our heads.
Yeah. Well,
as I say, when you're dealing with water vapor, it has a completely different light refraction. For example, when you watch it in the setting sun, I've seen just whiffing clouds in front, and they're just looking as black as coal dust.
Well, I notice now that, and not just the spray, but we have very strange, like bright orange clouds underneath the actual spray, the blanketed spray they do, and then we have these bizarre clouds that roll in that are fluorescent, and they look very scary. Some are orange, some are like dark purple, and they don't look normal at all.
As I say, look, it's a basic science, spectral analysis. And where are those deadbeats that are collecting the government paychecks supposed to be looking out for us?
Well, I think we all know what's going on there. I mean, the whole system is completely infiltrated now by the corporations like Monsanto and very rich families. So there's no one there. I mean, if there are very few people to represent us now. They've either been ousted out, or they've signed agreements, or they're being paid off, or they're being killed. I mean, those are the things that are happening now. And even people within our media who are coming out and speaking against some of these scandals that are going on with our politicians and in our public offices are being just outright killed. And there's been really very little outcry about it, which is very scary.
Basically, the life expectancies is drastically diminished.
Yeah.
And but as I say, there's the fact that Georgia Guidestones. Then a professor in Bianca in 2009, I think it was, he gave a speech at the Texas University of Science, and he advocated the killing off of 90% of the world's population. And what was especially disturbing was that he got a rousing ovation from his audience, mostly lecturers, doctors, professors, and students.
Well, a lot of that has to do with decades of conditioning the public in believing that overpopulation is a severe problem, and that we're ruining the world. All these people are ruining the world, when really the things that are going on can be managed, and there's tons of food for people, and truly the world is not overpopulated. It's mismanaged by the corporations and the industrialism and the families who created these industries back in the late 1800s, who have just completely ravaged our environment and have completely taken control of a lot of the governments worldwide. And so food doesn't get to where it should be, and people are starved on purpose, and rivers and oceans are being polluted on purpose. So a lot of this has to do with the people who have controlled industry for a very long time.
Basically, who has created the greatest over the last, especially the last 150 years, the greatest environmental destruction?
Yeah.
It doesn't come from the grassroots. It didn't come from the grassroots. It came from the top down.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, Werner, thank you so much for calling. It's great to hear from you, and I hope people can look you up on the internet. And you've done a lot of work exposing a lot of corruption yourself. You've done quite a lot over the years.
Well, as I say, I'm a kind of a dummy. But when you stick a dummy often enough with his nose in the dirty puddle of water, he finally gets it.
Well, Well, you've done a marvelous job. I'm familiar with some of your work, so I hope people will check you out and learn because you've been at it for a long time and you've really come up against your officials in your area and you've opened a lot of eyes.
Well,
So
I hope so. But as I say, there seems to be an awakening now. And now is the worst time when we should stop. Now we have to go at it with even more velocity and go after them.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they're getting now nervous.
Yes, yeah, I agree, and that's a really good point because I think, and I just feel like it's my obligation to warn people. I've been studying this stuff since the early '80s, meaning government corruption and conspiracies, and they're making their move right now. The laws are being implemented in the last several years. The equipment is being purchased. The spraying has intensified. They have been working towards this goal for 200 years, really for thousands of years on a different scale. But the last 200 years have been very, very intense, very, very focused and working towards bringing about a one world government, and this all plays into this, and they are making their move right now. And what that tells me, based on what I know, is that there's going to be some very big changes soon. And maybe we should do a show on that once, because soon, to let people know what's going on and what the big picture really is, because a lot of people have different ideas about the big picture. But there's a lot we could share to really help put the pieces together so you understand. Once you get the big picture, all of this stuff makes sense. The governments and the politicians like to pretend that they're dumb, but they're not dumb. They just love when the public thinks they're dumb because they get away with horrible things in the name of being dumb. They're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing.
What I always like to say with that, with my friends who are like, oh well, Washington is incompetent, or this such and such a person, the president is incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I like to say, oh yeah, okay, the president or this person is incompetent. That's why they're in power and they have, millions of dollars and they have all these resources at their fingertips because they're absolutely incompetent and stupid. And we, I work in a grocery store. I just know how to fix everything. And I know that all these people are stupid and they can't run anything, and it's just a foolish. It's just first of all, it's not even sensible to think that these people who have all this power are unable to do anything, or they're not smart, or they can't bring things together, or they can't stop things or put things into motion. That's just a ridiculous notion, and it's brainwashing for the public.
Right, and I tell people it's not incompetence, it's corruption. Incompetence is used as a smokescreen for corruption every day. Well, hey Warner, thank you so much for joining us. Let's let our next person ask some questions, but thank you for everything.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Okay. Okay, next caller, you're on.
Hey, Russ, Dan Cherry, Rochester.
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Oh, hanging in there.
Callie. Hi, Callie.
Hi.
Great show, you guys. Always enjoy it. Hey, I just had a couple quick points, and not sure I have a question so much. I was going to tell Mark that if he's going to take a trip to Vegas, he might want to pack some warm clothes out there. I guess nobody got my joke. Anyway, how about those temps? Seriously, is that pretty insane what's going out there, or what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
How about that? Yeah. Hey, Dan, if you pull your mouth away from the mouthpiece of the phone, it might be a little clearer.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's much better. Yeah, you're coming through so loud, it's kind of distorting a little bit on this end.
Okay. I talk loud too, I'm told, so I apologize.
No.
Hey, Russ, thanks for finding that chemtrail story and posting it. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Graham. Sorry it took so long. I just set time aside, said I've got to get through all of my email. It's been sitting in my box for months, and I did. So.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. I had almost forgotten about it, actually. It was really cool that you found that. I did want to say also that, it's interesting that the caller, I think his name was Warren there. It's interesting because if you look at the firefighters he mentioned who had been killed. I mean, it's a it's somewhat indirect. To look at it, we can't necessarily say, hey, whoever you people are spraying or whatever, you're responsible for the death of these people. But in an indirect way, they are responsible. And I just listened to that, and it just made me feel that this is so awful, for a lack of a better way to put it, maybe. Everything that's happening, all these even unintended consequences or whatever. And this just sort of gets back to a couple points that you and Kelly had made. I respectfully disagree here with something that you both seem to have said, and I think you're probably saying the same thing that I am. I just didn't hear it. But the way I look at this stuff, I don't discern between whether these people are intentionally trying to harm us, or if it's just unintentional and just so happens to be happening. I'm pretty hyped up on the side of looking at this and saying that regardless of whether it's intentional or it's not intentional, that they're causing the harm they are. As far as I'm concerned, this is what international crimes against humanity type of thing. I think all these people involved with this stuff need to be brought up on charges of crimes against humanity at a place like The Hague. I see this as being on a level of the extermination under Hitler, these types of regimes. And anyway, you guys had just said, we just look at it like, it's unintentional or whatever. And I think you're saying the same thing I am. I just wanted to make that point that, I can't let go of the fact that I look at this and say, I don't care whether it's intentional or not. These people have to understand what they're doing. And if they don't, they need to be brought up on charges regardless.
Well, I think that's what we were both saying, is that the reason why I mentioned that is because the reason why I, said that, well, whether we believe this is a depopulation or not is due to the fact that many people cannot swallow that notion that a government or governments or a group of people would have a program intentionally targeting depopulation. Now, my personal opinion, it seems pretty obvious here if we just look at the full big picture of our air being poisoned, our food with GMOs being poisoned, and our water with fluoride, which is known to dull our minds. I mean, that's known to do that, and there's dentists and doctors that have come out and said that. All these things, our food, air, and water, have all been altered in very bad chemical ways. So I don't want to be, I don't want to be, I'm not saying that I don't think that this is one thing or another. I'm just saying that for people who cannot stomach that notion, which there are many people, and I don't blame them. It's a terrible realization. So we've got to be compassionate, and I always just like to bring in the message and the door that's going to help people be most open to what is happening.
Kelly, tell me if you agree with this. It sounds to me like how you look at it, and this is the way I look at it, is that it would be great to know exactly what the agendas are, and I think some of us may very well have honed in on that. But what the bottom line is that it doesn't matter what the agendas are, because our goal is the same. It's destructive and it has to stop. It doesn't matter why they're doing it. It does on one level. I mean, we need to know why. We need to figure out the deeper levels of this. But as far as our activism is concerned, the goal is to make the destruction stop. There's nothing good coming from this for the general population. It's benefiting the pharmaceutical industry. It's benefiting a small group of industrial power brokers who are centralizing and socializing governments. It's benefiting very wealthy segments of people that have agendas in mind, and that's a whole nother discussion I would love to have one day publicly. But The bottom line is it's destructive, and our goal is to make it stop. That's why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The goal's the same. Whether you think it's this reason or that reason, it's bad and it has to stop.
Well, I think we're maybe I differing here, if that's the way to put it. And I'm not arguing with you guys. I'm just making points here that, the way I'm looking at it is this whole deception, lack of transparency. I mean, Christ, all these people really would have to do at this point is come out and say, yes, we are doing this to try to better, the weather and save mankind. And they'd have the troves of humanity behind them forever. That's all they have to do, and they're not doing that. So I have to look at it and say myself that this is completely nefarious. I cannot accept that there isn't an absolutely awful element of what's going on behind this. I can't accept that. And so anyway, I'm just saying, and Kelly, I think a little bit of a difference in view here. And again, I'm not taking issue with you. I think it's wonderful the way you think and your ideas. I don't see where sugarcoating things, if that's the way to put it, is going to help anything by not. I don't know if the word's forcing or what, but getting people just to say, look, this is really serious, as opposed to, well, let's take a look. It does really seem like the conversations that have been going on over the last few radio shows that I've listened to with people like Russ and Dane and Purple and Jerry there, and it's pretty dark, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I can't go out in the world and just say, hey, everybody, look at those pretty lines. Oh, by the way, it's really probably not that bad. We can, sort of talk about it. Anyway, I'm starting to be cynical here. I apologize for that. There's no need.
I'm certainly not telling people it's not that bad. Through my own experience of bringing this to the public, and especially the public that is not aware of any of this going on, most will not. If you sit there and say to somebody, and trust me, I've been doing this for 3 years, talking with strangers on the street, whether it be before I started my protest or during my protest, many people will just turn you right off.
No, Kelly, I don't mean to interject. Just to save a quick time here, I did have one more quick point. I'm not talking the idea of what to say to people to tell them what's going on. I'm saying at the level where we are and growing to a point where, we all on this call or, whatever, we may be the voices in the future that other people are looking up to, and we're going to have to make decisions as to maybe what we have to do with or to these people who are doing this to us. That's my point going forward, is saying there's absolutely no way in my conscience that I could look at these people and say, oh, look, after all, I guess you were doing a good job. I'm sorry I misunderstood what you were trying to do. The sheer fact that they're hiding all this stuff, I absolutely believe that there's a major agenda here, and that's where I'm going, is just saying we need to get to a level where we stop this and then say we are going to take you up on charges. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you.
But in order to take these people up on charges, we have to get enough of us together first in order to make that tide turn.
Well, absolutely. I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. I'm just saying my thought process going forward is the end game, whether it's next month, next year, or 20 years from now, if I can have any say in the matter, I'm going to say string them up. Hang these bastards. That's what I'm going for. And maybe not quite literally there, but I've had enough. And I don't mean I'm giving up, and nothing like that. If anything, I'm getting much more inspired to go forward with this stuff. But again, I have a real hard time with people who don't tell the truth and all the stuff that's going on. I read so many things. I read thousands of articles a week. I'm relentless in my pursuit of this stuff. And it's just over and over the same model seems to put itself forward, that there's lying and there's power structures and all this stuff.
that are very harmful to us. Anyway, I appreciate your input and everything. If you guys want to keep talking to that, I'd love to hear anything more.
Well, I'll tell you what you said you had another point. Why don't you make your point, and then you can hop off. We'll have her respond, and we've got other callers too.
You got it. Okay. I do sense you guys, and I think you both, Kelly and Russ, I think you both have been saying this, and I think other people have as well. Dane seems to be a bit, God, I feel for him, because I think he's onto something that is on a level that's deeper, maybe a little bit than where we are or whatever. I think he's experiencing a level of conversation with people in his network where he's a bit more fearful of things or whatever. Not that we aren't fearful, but I sense critical mass is coming on our side. And I've been saying that for quite some time. And just an example, and this is the last point I want to make, I sent you an email today, Russ. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Fox News in Colorado last night, on television, aired an article. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they aired a 5-minute video of Rosalind Peterson and some other people about chemtrails and how they're finding chemicals in the water in California and in the soil and whatever. It was only 5 minutes or whatever, but I just thought it was really neat that finally, on even just in Colorado itself, that there was actually a segment on a somewhat national level or at least a state level, whatever. We're making inroads. It's very important. And Kelly, remarkable work you're doing. Mark, you too. All you guys you do a lot more than I do as far as I do more in the realm of research and this stuff. And I'd love to do more. I'm learning from you guys how to get presentations going, this type of stuff. I'd love to do that as well. Anyway, I'm loving seeing critical mass. I sense it. I really feel it. And I'm loving the fact that we are getting the numbers. It's going to take some time. It's pretty awful. It's going to be a pretty major battle, if you want, between us and them. But anyway, thanks for taking my call, Russ, and thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it. And chat on. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Dan, and thanks for everything that you do. Kelly, you want to respond?
Well, I think, there's so many levels to this whole, it's not just the spraying, and Dan is right. There's a lot of different levels going on here, and these people do need to be brought to trial. I mean, none of us will be against that, of course, but I just think that in the way that we proceed with helping the public become aware of these nefarious programs like the spraying and how it's tied into a much larger problem with just complete poisoning us through our food, air, and water. In order to get the amount of people we need to support and get the real information about what's going on with the spraying and our food and our water, we need to help bring them into the fold in a way that is not going to be a complete turnoff. And I certainly agree with him in the sense that we do need to be mindful of how we go about our activism, because I really believe that we will be looked upon as some of the first people who are trying to make people aware of what's going on and bringing public awareness to these very evil programs. And so we do need to be mindful of that. But I also think that because we are some of the first people to come out publicly against these programs, that we do need to do it in a very compassionate way for the people who, I mean, really, let's face it, we have been brainwashed. All of us have been brainwashed through decades and decades of programs, and a lot of it coming from television and our newspapers. So it takes a while to deprogram people from these notions that they have about our government, and I'm not saying that it's a lot of it's even further than our government. it's families that have had a lot of influence and a lot of money that have put up these institutions, and so it's a pretty deep hole.
Yeah. You know, and here's something I want to get this complicated concept across to people, is that a lot of us have been in this a lot longer. And when I say in this, studying government corruption and conspiracies, and I notice I say government conspiracies, not my conspiracy, it's that I've learned about conspiracies that already existed for years, for decades. And I know a lot of people who've done this as well, and we've all come to the same conclusions. When you study this long enough, you all come to the same conclusions. I met people across the country who've all come to the same conclusions after years of independent study. And it's what Kelly said is exactly right, is that our worldviews have been really formed for us. Textbooks are written to form your worldview. And you know, before I even go there, I'd want to say that it's just, Kelly said this as well. I mean, it's simple etiquette that you have to be sensitive to who you're talking to. There are people who know nothing about this, who've never been exposed to this. And if you start talking about the full depth of this rabbit hole, you'll scare people away. They'll think that you're crazy or something. And that's very easy to do. And it's not because I'm crazy. It's because the evidence shows this. It's all right there. I mean, this stuff is available for those who want to put the time in to study, which most people don't. Most people just want to hear other people's opinions or study because they don't want to really put the time in. Okay, so you just have to have simple etiquette when you're talking to someone. Know your audience, and if they're just learning about this, then be sensitive to that. You know, don't put something more on people than they can handle, because we all have limits to what we can handle at any given time. On the other hand, if you're talking to intelligent people, and there are a lot of intelligent people listening right now, you who are intelligent, I'm not that the others are not intelligent, that's not what I'm saying, but those who have done this searching down the rabbit hole, has nothing to do with intelligence, just has to do with the research that you've done, where you've focused your research over the years. For those who have done, you have to realize that the people who are exposing this, and I know that you already do, you realize that the people who are exposing this are at all different levels of understanding with what's going on in the world. Now, you know, I could jump down a rabbit hole, for instance, and I'm going to jump down real quick here and just show you something. Okay, let me introduce you to something, and to let you know, if you have been researching this, we aren't, many of us are not unaware of these deeper rabbit holes. But when you're talking to people who are new to this, you have to be sensitive to them and meet them where they're at. Let me introduce you very quickly. Let me introduce you to this concept by introducing you to a fella named, and you may have heard of him in your studies, or even high school, Frederick Henry Osborne. Okay, American philanthropist. I'm reading this from Wikipedia. Okay, American philanthropist, military leader, eugenicist. He was founder of several organizations who played a central part in reorienting eugenics. I'm trying to talk too fast here. Let me read you just a couple sentences here. Now, let me tell you who this guy was. In 1940, Osborne was selected by Franklin Roosevelt. Now, you all know who he was. We're talking about historic world figures at the top of the power here. Someone who was at the top. I mean, we're talking about the top of the power structure. Osborne was selected by Franklin Roosevelt to chair the Civilian Advisory Committee on Selective Service. I could go on and on, but let me just leave it at that. So Osborne, this person that I'm introducing you to, Frederick Henry Osborne, was selected by Roosevelt, by the president, to be head of this committee. So Roosevelt knows who this guy is. He's familiar with him, and he selects him to chair, to be head of the Civilian Advisory Committee. Okay? Well, who is this person that the President of the United States assigned to this position, this high position? Let me just say this, and again, this is a lecture that could go on for hours, but let me say this. All you've got to do is listen to a couple things he said. Okay, here are a couple quotes that from this man who was assigned to this high position by Roosevelt. Here's one quote. He said, Eugenic goals are most likely to be attained under another name than eugenics. Okay, he's talking about how they're going to accomplish their goals. Remember, the president assigned him to a high position in the advisory committee. Here's another thing. This is another quote from him, 1937. This has been going on a long time. The German sterilization program, this is a quote from Osborne, is apparently an excellent one, although it is generally doubted whether equal or better results might not have been obtained by a voluntary rather than compulsory system. So in other words, maybe a compulsory system would be better. Here's the final quote I'll read you. Taken together, recent developments in Germany constitute perhaps the most important experiment which has ever been tried. 1937, Osborne. This man was assigned to high positions in the government by a president, not your president, but a president of your ancestors. So that's just a quick little trip, a little bit down a rabbit hole when you start looking at what's going on. And when you put all of this deception together, you have people like Dr. Haley, who discovered relationships between mercury and autism. And his colleagues, after he made this discovery, were like, "You're going to be writing your own check." I mean, Haley says this in his own videos, and Haley is a very accomplished guy. He says these things in his own videos where he says that my colleagues were saying, "Wow, you're going to have all the research money you want forever. You're going to write your own checks. They're going to give you so much money because your research has uncovered these incredible links that are so important and going to be so impacting in society that associate, for instance, mercury and autism." Right? So what does the National Institutes of Health and the NIH and the other funding organizations for him, what do? They give him tons of money for research, right? No. After he did this, they pulled all funding, medical funding, related to mercury research. And they even said, we are not going to fund any more mercury-related studies. Now, that long silence I just left there, that statement is deserving of a lot more than that. If you don't get the depth of impact that one failure to fund this line of research has in our society, when more than 1 out of 50 children have autism, are getting autism today, and I think it's higher than that. The impact, there are a few things that would impact the medical society, medical system today more than a study right down that trail that Haley was doing. And what happened? The government shut him down. Okay? There's a reason for that. Again, here we're traveling down a rabbit hole a little bit. Pardon me for talking so long. We have a wonderful guest here, and I don't want to keep talking any longer, but I just want to wake people up to the fact that just because we talk to people gently or we introduce the concept of geoengineering to people, and we don't go down these rabbit holes right away because it's too much, it's too scary, or maybe they're not really interested in that. They're interested in what's affecting them directly right now. Doesn't mean that some of us don't really know about all this other stuff. It's very important.
We don't even have to go in the past for seeing the whole eugenics program happening. We can just look to the Obama science czar, John Holdren, who in his book, The Eco-Science, he talks about forced abortion, sterilization through the water, all sorts of things. And so these people are still in our public offices and are still very influential in continuing with these programs under different guises. So, I mean, people can just look into the people who are in public office now and look at their statements, because they don't hide it. They don't hide how they feel.
Yeah.
And so when we have things like aerial spraying, or we have things like GMOs that are happening, which we know cause all sorts of problems with our organs. And I mean, it's just common sense to know that if you're changing a gene sequence in foods that we eat, then our body's not going to recognize that food. Or if you're making it resistant to pesticides, then whatever they're making, whatever chemical they're putting in it to make it resistant is going to go into our system also and affect our system. And if you just go back to looking at something like the Food as Weapon back in the 70s, the paper that was written in the 70s, and then here we have GMO foods. So it doesn't take much to connect the dots on all these things, and these people have been in very prominent positions, social positions, public relation positions, and so
Science advisors.
they are. I mean, it's gotten to the point where if we don't pay attention to the philosophies of these people that we're putting into office, and we're just going to elect them on what a commercial says on corporate television, then this is the stuff we're going to have to deal with.
That's right. Very well said. Hang on, caller. I'm going to get to you in just a second. But Kelly, I need to ask you a question. I've never asked Kelly this question before, and we've never talked specifically about this. So, but I'll tell you what, I know what her answer is going to be. So let me just ask you. So, Kelly, what happened when all of this research? What happened to the scientists that discovered that GMOs were destroying livers and kidneys and causing tumor damage and sterilization and reproductive system damage? What happened to those scientists who made those discoveries?
They lost their funding, or they were silenced. I know some biologists who spoke up were murdered or died under suspicious causes, and many just lose their funding. So you've got people in higher educational institutions who won't dare to go near any of this stuff because they'll be completely locked out from their own position. So you have no one to be able to speak up because they'll be ostracized and maybe even worse.
Exactly. There's the answer. There's the answer. If you speak out and your answer is not towing the line of the corporation you're working for, if you try to help the public and say, these GMOs are destroying organs, they are causing tumors, they are killing people, they are doing reproductive damage, they're extremely dangerous, do these companies say, oh, we're going to bring this out into the public, we're going to tell everyone, we're going to bring it in the news, and we're going to stop because we care so much about the public? No, as Kelly just very eloquently pointed out, the opposite happens. Their funding is pulled, they're silenced in one way or another, and this information is covered up. So you have to go digging for it. That's why there are researchers today, and you need to listen to them. And I know we're getting kind of heavy here, and anyone who's new listening, you know what? Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. They're just people. The people who are doing this are just people. And if we get our act together, and we are, this is why these protests are taking place, many of these bad things have been stopped and even reversed in some countries because of public outcry. But you've got to do your part. You've got to be involved. If you only have 5 minutes a day, then do it 5 minutes a day. That's incredibly valuable. When you have 10,000 people doing something 5 minutes a day, you get things done. So don't ever underestimate the power that you have, even if it's just a little bit of time to exert that power.
And I want to say also, Russ, is that, let's not all look at this as a doom and gloom because, this has been going on for ages and ages, and it's just now that technology has gotten so advanced that they're able to do this on larger scales than they were 1,000 years ago. So this really isn't anything new under the sun here. But what is good about this is that we are getting together, and we're not, like you said, the internet is bringing people together, and they didn't realize how powerful this instrument, the internet, could be. And so I really believe that we are coming upon a turning point here, and that we can get all of us together and from a point and a stance of love and dedication to the people in our communities, we can make an impact and to stop this really nefarious thinking and these nefarious people getting into these types of positions to where they're able to do something populace. So this is not all doom and gloom, because it is creating a very positive force of people coming together to expose and shed the light on this type of nefarious thinking and actions. And this is a good thing. This is positive.
Absolutely. In fact, my research shows that the powers that be, who are the industrialists who are trying to implement these policies and these programs, wanted to have this stuff done in the 80s. That is the information and the research that I've done, and this is how far behind they are. And the reason they're behind is because people stood up and said no. And this was mostly before the internet. Now we have masses of people waking up and learning what's going on and beginning to get involved. But don't sit around and expect someone else to do all the work, though. Everybody needs to be involved. But I totally agree with Kelly. Very, very eloquently said. All right, we have a caller. Let me take your call. Sorry for the wait. Hello, caller.
Hello, Russ.
How's it
Hello,
going?
Kelly.
Hello.
Hey, Kelly, I saw your videos on YouTube, and I've used them. I've sent them to people that I've spoken to that are rolling their eyes, and they're very effective. So that's one thing people could do.
Absolutely.
I live in Connecticut. It's been nonstop here. We don't even remember. People don't even remember what blue skies look like. I have to look at pictures, old pictures, to remember what it looks like. It's just horrible. I'm in the solar power business, and with the dimming that's going on, it's difficult. People are noticing there's not as much sun anymore. And I was thinking of maybe try to start a class action lawsuit from all solar power owners. And
that's a good idea, actually.
I'm actually going to work on that. I just want to point out something you said at the very beginning. You said a woman was saying that she did a protest and only 2 people showed up. It doesn't matter if nobody shows up. If you're out there with flyers, talking to people intelligently, you get them. You get people, and they tell people, and I have people come back to me. It goes. I post up on social media all the time on Facebook, and I get 0 likes. But then
you know what?
But I just want to say, people come up and talk to me on the side when I see your posts. I've seen that stuff. I've done some more research. Oh my God! And they're all watching it. You can't ignore it.
Yes.
That's what you're going to say.
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly what I was going to say. Even though people aren't liking our posts, who wants to like them, really?
Right.
I don't blame them. And even though people don't like the posts of the spray days that you put up, or information into what this is doing to us or our earth, or the connection of the spraying with the genetically modified food through the aluminum-resistant seed, people are still looking at it, and the seed is being planted, and even though they may not mentally be able to handle that information today, after it germinates, after a while, they'll open up little by little for this, and that's all it takes. And we can't get too tied into, I didn't get even 3 likes on my my spray day post. You're just putting it out there, and as a friendly awareness community action post, and just let it grow, and don't be too judgmental on whether people are ignoring it or not, because I truly believe, obviously, we're getting bigger, and the disinformation agents are coming out by the droves, so we are having an impact. And I do notice, like I said, within the 3 years since I've been trying to wake up my community in San Francisco about the chemical spraying, that 3 years ago when I would talk with people on the street, they would call me crazy, or they'd say all sorts of things about me or towards me. And now I'm not seeing that. I mean, very little. Actually, I get people clapping. I get people thanking me for bringing awareness. I cannot count how many times in the past 4 protests that I've actually had people stop either within their cars or coming up to me on the street or on their bikes saying, "You are doing some very important work here." And that is a great feeling to know, just to have the acknowledgement, which I didn't have 3 years ago, for people to come up and actually realize what we are doing is very good work and very important work in waking people up to the mass deception that is happening right underneath their noses.
I just wanted to point out a couple of techniques that I use that have worked very, very well. Location is key. I find when I go to a shopping center, people are just so busy, it's really hard to stop them in their footsteps. But if you go to a park or a beach where they're out enjoying the weather and they're spraying above you, I just approach them and I say, would you like a flyer about something that's going on above your head? And they look up and they all say yes, and they all thank me when I'm done, and they take it.
Yes.
So I want to talk to people about flyers. If you are going out there and trying to talk to people, go to your local print shop, and not necessarily the small one, but not you can go there also. But if there's any larger print shops, if you go there and get in front of one of the owners and talk to them and convince them that this is a real issue, then ask them when they have an empty spot on press. Sometimes when they're printing, they have to print in groups of 4 or 8. They only have 3. They leave that empty 8.5 empty, and they throw out all the paper. So it doesn't cost them anything to put a flyer on there. So if you create your own flyer, go to Russ's site, take a flyer from there, have it on a keychain, on a zip drive or whatever, a flash drive. If you go and talk to a printing company, they will take your files and they will print you thousands. And if you convince them well enough, they might even do a special, an extra run for you.
That's a good idea.
So,
Wow. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. In fact, we need to do a mini interview, like a 5-minute interview, so that we can take that audio clip and put it on our flyer page. So.
No problem. This is Dave White.
Oh, I know. I just didn't know. I didn't know that trick. Didn't know you could do that, and most people don't. So we need to get that info out. That's great.
Okay, we can talk later.
Yeah, we'll need to. Yeah, we need to talk about. I'll be in touch with you about that. That's great.
All right.
Wow.
That is all.
Okay, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, geez, it's that time again. It's 10:30. The time goes so fast. What do you want to say, Kelly?
Well, I think you know exactly what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say that we really need to make an effort to get out and get this information to the public. We can't just sit behind our computers anymore. We need to get out, hit the streets, talk with the public. It is not scary. Once you do it one time, it's actually exhilarating. The first time you do it, it's very exhilarating. And then after you do it a few times, you realize that you're bringing such a great amount of care and love to your neighbor and to the community around you. You're giving them information. You're opening their eyes to this nefarious spraying program that's happening that is plaguing everyone health-wise. A lot of people don't realize why they can't get rid of their colds, why they're constantly hacking, why their chests are full of phlegm, why their eyes are burning, why they can't get enough water in the day. And when you go out to the public and you talk with them and you point up, or you have your flyers showing that what's going on and the lines that they're seeing in the sky are actually heavy metals being sprayed on them and their children, then really the light goes on in their eye. And like, whoa, I had no idea this was happening. Well, maybe this is the reason why I can't get rid of my migraine headaches, or this is the reason why I have like 10 colds within 3-month period, within the summer or within the winter or both seasons. And this is a great community service, and it is the only way we're going to have this program stopped. And yes, it's involved in a myriad of other programs. But let's just start with the spraying. Let's start with the illegal geoengineering going on, which we know is got very bad connotations, and it's harming our health. We need to get out on the streets, and we need to talk with our community. We're not going to be able to pull new people into this movement behind our computers as quickly as we can in our own towns, in our own communities, talking with people face to face with a friendly smile, with information, with our flyers, and trying to stop this terrible program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want people to realize the exhilaration, the sense of power that you have when you're out there. I haven't been to a protest yet. We haven't had any locally. If you're in the Bangor area or you're in Maine and you want to get something together, please contact me. I've tried, but I haven't been able to get people yet. And it's hard for me to do something like that alone because I'm still kind of recovering from my, I shouldn't say recovering from my heart attack, but I have bad inflammation from the chemtrails. So if they're spraying bad, I walk very slow. It's kind of hard for me. When they're not spraying and the air is clear, well, they always spray, but when it's mild and it's not nearly as strong, that I can run around. It's just like night and day. But anyway, I would like to just back up what Kelly said and see people get involved in doing this and experience the exhilaration and the sense of power that you have when you do stuff like this. What events do you have coming up and what goes on in San Francisco so people can be aware of that?
Well, first I want to answer Kim's question. She's asking me, how do I reach people? She states that she is not able to pass out flyers. It is not allowed. Well, Kim, you know what? Go to your local store where you have chalk, and you can take some chalk and you can write the information on the sidewalk, on the road. You can put that information out there in different ways other than a flyer if you're not able to give out flyers to people. And then again, as you're out there putting this information on the sidewalk with your chalk, talk with people. And if it's a spray day, you can point up and you can give them information that way. Trust me, you can get a lot of people that way. And just don't go everywhere with it. Work on a certain radius within your neighborhood or within a specific area where there is a lot of people around you, and then work there for a year. And then once people are starting to understand what's going on, you can move to a different area, because you will notice that people will catch on and people will start realizing that they're being sprayed because they're doing it right in front of us. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look up into the sky and see a tic-tac-toe board. It's not something that is normal for any commercial flight, because it isn't. As far as what's going on in San Francisco, we actually are having 2 protests a month now. So what we're doing is the second Saturdays of every month we meet, our next one will be July 13th. And instead of meeting in front of the City Hall like we do on the last Wednesdays, on the second Saturdays in San Francisco, we meet in front of the Ferry Building, and that is at noon. And that's just a new thing. So we've only had a few of them, and our third one's coming up on the July 13th. So we will all get together on Saturday to talk with the crowd down at the Ferry Building, and it is a crowd. It's a huge crowd. So that's pretty interesting. They have a farmer's market there, so we can target people with the GMOs and in their food, which everyone is concerned about, and show how it's tied into the aluminum being sprayed in our sky and how it's sterilizing our soil. So we have our protest on the second Saturday, July 13th. That's every month, just like our other protest, which is on the last Wednesday in front of City Hall. And I really think we're doing a good job here. My group is dedicated, and they are out there every protest. And we're getting new faces there, and they're doing a great job, and they're very affable. I've made great new friends through doing these protests that are invaluable. And so we're doing our job here, and we want to bring in more people around the United States, around the world, to join us on these days and to get into their public spaces to pass out flyers, and if they can't pass out flyers, to talk with the public around them, so we can gain a greater momentum in this stopping of the chemical spraying.
Kelly, here's a question I get all the time. Is there hope that we can really stop this?
Oh, definitely. Yes. There's always hope, and hope is never lost. And the reason why there is always hope is because there's going to always be a group of people in this world who try to work for good, for the good of the community, for the good of mankind, humankind, and because we have that group of people, then there will always be hope. And I just don't think there's a lack of people in the world that are like that. Because from my own experience, I have a load of people in my life right now who are loving people, who care about people, who want to see the health and the growth and the beauty of people. So there's always hope when we have people like that in the world.
That's wonderfully said. When this when it does end, let's say one day we raise lots of public awareness and people have demanded that laws be passed and the jets stop flying, what happens then?
Well, what happens then is we realize that our power is great, and we're not as minuscule in the corner, huddled, as scared, and I'm too scared to do anything. These people are too big. We realize that that is all a facade, and that we have the power and the ability to stop anything. To stop anything that we don't agree with, that we think is nefarious, that we believe is harming our children and our community and ourselves. And when we start having the mentality of that, then we're going to be non-stoppable. But we've got to realize that this is not, we're not powerless here. And they go to great lengths into trying to make us believe that we're powerless. And the reason why they do that is because they know that we have a great deal of power and strength. And so this is why they want to mind control us and believing that we can't do anything, that they're watching us and they're recording us, and they're just trying to, they're going to huddle us off to some FEMA camp. And the reason why they put those ideas out there is for the sheer fact that they know our ability of coming together is way, way more powerful than they could ever have within the small group of people who are trying to oppress us to the point where we feel like we can't do anything, because that is a complete facade, and that is the biggest lie that is being generated.
Very well said. Don't get your news from mainstream media. Go to globalskywatch.com, look in the resources section, and you can find a whole list of alternative news where you can get real news where they talk about what's really going on. Everybody who's new, who's listening today, many new people who've never heard about the subject are going to hear this interview. Consider why the news media has said, oh, these trails in the sky are just harmless water vapor. They've been there forever. If you're any older than a decade and a half, if you watched in the sky, you know that that isn't true. They have not been there. These are a relatively new phenomenon. There's nothing like this that has happened. I have one more question for Kelly, but before I ask that question, I want to tell everyone that we have this meeting every week at globalskywatch.com/live, has all of the information where you can join us. And I want to invite you to stick around afterward, because I leave the phone system on and the stream on so everybody can talk. I call it the after talk. We have the pre-talk before and the after talk after. So stick around and you can chat with each other. It's wonderful when we do this because it's a great way to meet other like-minded people in all kinds of different locations. So please join us every week at this same place, globalskywatch.com/live, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here. And you can listen on any device. So if you have somebody who has a phone and they want to listen, you can go to our live stream, which we have a link to. If you're in another country and you want to call in, to the panel, there's a list of international numbers you can call. So please stick around, be here every week, and please get involved. Here's my last question for Kelly. What kind of world would you like to see us have?
Well, my ideal world would be one where our communications would be opened up, and that we would have a greater world of love and non-judgmental, to be open to all people, all races, and but also respect everyone's differences. Also, we can't all be the same, and no one wants to be the same, and we can't all have the same philosophy. I just think that would make for a very boring world. But we can respect one another, and we can respect life, and realize that having life and having the ability to think about life and ourselves is a great gift. It's a great miracle. It's a great miracle for all of us to be here, and we need to honor life, and we need to honor all life on this earth, both people and animals, all living things, and no one has the right to take that away from anybody. And so my ideal world is a world where we share love and we respect life.
Kelly, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Kelly is the founder and the coordinator for the San Francisco protests. Actually, I'm so sorry. I've got one more question. Where do people go to keep up with the protests and with all your information?
Well, we have a couple of places. You can visit us on our online on our webpage. It's called, let me see, it's Bay Area Residents Against Geoengineering, Chemtrails. Let me just get the actual.
Oh, take your time. Yeah, it's a big, long name. You could type. You could.
Oh well, I wanted to include that.
You can open up any word in the unabridged dictionary and type it in Facebook, and you'll find.
I know. Patrick's been on me with it. Hey, chemtrail, Bay Area Residents Against Chemtrail / Geoengineering, and also you can join us at, I think it's Stop Spraying Us. Let me see if I can get that. Oh my gosh.
Oh, take your time. Take your time.
Okay.
And while you're looking that up, I'll throw some other websites at you. There's geoengineeringwatch.org, where you can get great information about geoengineering. Aircrap.org, Anthony Hilder's website. Geoengineeringwatch.org, I believe, is Dane Wigington's website. Globalskywatch.com is mine. There are many great websites out there sharing this information. In a lot of Facebook groups. Our Facebook group is called Chemtrails Global Skywatch. It's really, we put the word chemtrails in there because a lot of people search for it, so we wanted people to be able to find it. But
okay, so that is Stop Spraying Us -sf.com.
Okay, Stop Spraying Us -s like sand, and F like Frisco, San Francisco, sf.com. Stop Spraying Us -sf.com. The SF is obviously for San Francisco. So that's where they can keep up with what's going on with you?
Yes, and so they'll find us. You'll be able to get a link for us on Facebook, and also we have a link for our next protest.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. Well, one thing I'd like to do, Kelly has done, everybody who's listening who's not new, you know that Kelly has done so much for us, and I know that we all feel grateful. So what I would like to do is unmute all of your microphones, and when I do, everybody...
Session is over.
When I do, now that I have everybody, shout out a big thank you to Kelly, please.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to you. Everyone is doing a great job.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Kelly's done so much, and I'm so grateful. I love having her on here because she's just a natural speaker, a natural people person, a natural source of awesome information. I'm going to unmute all the microphones afterward and have our after talk session where everybody can talk among yourselves. Please join us next week, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, where we will have another program every Monday night, Global Skywatch Radio or Monday Night Live or whatever you want to call it. It's for helping people become aware of the greatest crime against humanity in human history. It's up to every one of you to be involved and to do something about this. It doesn't have to be this way. You have a right to breathe clean air, and whether or not we attain that right is up to you and how hard you're willing to work to make it happen and make sure that we don't ever have to go through these kinds of things again. So thank you for being with us, everyone. Stick around for After Talk, and good night.